This guy was good, yo. I'm waiting for more people to join in so I can get tonight's topic going. Hope everything's going well with you, brother. So you think you're gonna have any questions for tonight? Hello? Whoever else is there. I can't see, but I hope your evening's going well, and I hope you're ready for our amazing discussion tonight regarding the differences between marriage, relationship, and I think dating was the other topic. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for a few more people to come in, and I'll go ahead and get started. All right. So I have a quote that I wanted to read based on the research that I was doing on this topic. I thought it was really interesting, and I found this quote on Twitter. Basically, it kind of speaks on the differences between the two, as far as like what you should look out for and what you should be mindful of, because a boyfriend is not a husband, and sometimes we get too comfortable with boyfriends or girlfriends thinking that they're forever, but they're not, and it's kind of something that we have to be mindful of, because a lot of times we get caught up in these situations thinking that whoever we're with is going to be able to give us some type of, I guess, solitude. Not solitude, but give us some type of, I guess, peace within ourselves, considering that, we've been with them for a long time, or considering that we really love them, but that doesn't always uphold. So I'm going to read that quote to start out. Okay, so it says, sex is not for boyfriends. Praise is not for boyfriends. Submission is not for boyfriends. Every husband benefit that you give to a boyfriend subtracts strength from the connection that one day you will attempt to build with the proper destinatory of said benefits. That quote to me is deep, because what that quote basically is saying is that we want to give all this praise to people that really aren't worthy of the praise. So, yeah, we have sex with boyfriends or girlfriends thinking that that means anything, but what happens now when you get pregnant? You guys haven't really thought of family planning. You haven't really had proper conversations. So now you're stuck. You're raising a baby, or you're having to raise a baby without having any real guidance as to what type of direction is going to come from that. So I really think that that's important. And then it says next, praise is not for boyfriends. To me, that's also important too, because you see a lot of people, they get in relationship after relationship posting pictures like for months. And this person that they're with, they haven't even been with for a long time. How you know it's going to work out? You spend all your energy, all your time, and all your effort hoping that by you posting this person constantly, that is going to make them more interested in you. But it doesn't always work out like that. I think that's really interesting too, because, a lot of times we get caught up. The honeymoon stage is like the early beginning stages where we tend to feel like, oh, well, me and this person been kicking it. We're so connected in ways that, I haven't been with other people. But what does that really mean? We're holding on to stuff that doesn't really give us, any hope for the future. There's no real longevity, because there's no real talks of marriage. There's no real, future planning. It's just we're caught up in the moment. And because we're caught up in the moment, we tend to ignore all the signs that we should look out for. So the next one, again, is submission is not for boyfriends. I think that's another deep one, too. Because I'm sure you guys see all over social media, like everyone's talking about submission. You got to submit to a man. You got to submit to a man. But what are you really submitting to? And again, for something so permanent or something so temporary, how can you submit to that? If I'm going to submit to something, if I'm a woman, I'm going to submit to something that I know is going to be able to hold me down and give me what I need, especially for long periods of time. Because, submission is not something that's temporary. Like, a woman just can't submit to a man today and then tomorrow, oh, well, I'm unsubmitted. No, it means that she's dedicating herself to that person, and she's hoping that by him being that figure in her life, that he's going to give her, what she can't get elsewhere. And that's the importance of making sure that we're not doing that with boyfriends, because when you do it with a boyfriend, you're basically saying that I know that this is temporary, and I know that this is not going to give me any long-term effect, but I'm hoping that it will. And this is why you see so many women will do so many things to try to make a man happy. And what happens? He finally gets what he wants, and he walks away from that, because he knows deep down that's not really what he wanted. But she was so desperate and so pressed to give him everything that she thought that he needed. That's what happened, And the last part again is every husband benefit that you give to a boyfriend subtracts strength from the connection that one day you will attempt to build with the proper destinatory of said benefits. Basically what that's saying to me is that, you're giving all of these husband role, aspects that you should be saving for him. You can't be doing that with a boyfriend. If a boyfriend is someone that's not permanent and they're temporary in your life based on their inability to set a future for you, that's telling you everything you need to know. If you're burned out from spending years and years in a relationship and you never had the chance to have any type of talk about marriage, you're basically just giving yourself up. So now when that guy does come along and he's ready to marry you, what more are you going to really have to offer? I mean, yeah, you can probably still offer it, but are you really going to be at 100%? Are you really going to be willing to give it your all? No, because you already gave it your all to your boyfriend or to your girlfriend for those X amount of years. So I thought I'll share that to start off the live, because like I said, this topic today is about, relationships, the different stages of relationships, the pros and the cons and the benefits. So I just want to go ahead and get into that. So I wrote out a list because it's actually a lot of stuff. I hope you guys are willing to stay with me as I share it, because I am looking to hear some questions afterwards, just in case, okay? So what I have for boyfriend and girlfriends, the cons, he or she is not focused on long-term with you. So when they're tired of wasting time with you, they will walk away from you. I think that's very important because, like I said earlier, if someone wants to have a long-term future with you, you'll know from the very beginning that they intend to have this future. It's not going to be something that you'll have to figure out 3 to 4 years later, or 5 to 10 years later. It's going to be right away. It may not be right away in the sense that from the moment that you guys meet, that you guys will be planning a marriage, but there will be talks about marriage. Like there will be conversations about whether you had plans to get married, whether you had plans to have a life partnership. Like, what are your future plans? Like, are you committed to being a girlfriend or a boyfriend for the long term? Do you want more out of life? Are you looking to build a legacy, create generational wealth? Those are all things that I think that we should consider in the stages of a relationship, because without it happening in the relationship, it's less likely to happen, at the later stages of the relationship either. So I think that the more we have those conversations, whether it's early, whether it's right away, I think it helps create like a boundary. That way, if that person's not able to meet you on that level or at that level, you're able to walk away. Why? Because you know that what you already have set is not going to be what they're going to provide for you. Okay? So the next one I have is that it allows them to waste time with you until he or she is ready to either find the woman or the man that they want. I think that that's important too, because nowadays we see a lot of people, they'll spend so many years with people, and then suddenly, they get with the next person, and right away, they're getting married. Why? Because they didn't really want to be with that person. It was just something to do. Like, it just gave them, like, something in the moment, like a placeholder. I know that I really don't have no long-term effects with you, but I know that if I can be with you until I can get this girl or this, woman that I want, it helps give me the benefit, because versus me being alone, versus me having to feel like I'm lonely, I can now kill time with you. And whether you know it or not, I'm still going to be successful. It's pretty messed up when you think about it, because it's almost like you're taking advantage of someone. But at the same time, this is one of the cons of being a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You don't really have room for, that longevity effect that I was talking about earlier, because everything you're doing within that moment is temporary. It's almost like dating, why society loves dating so much. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later too, when I speak about the differences for me as to why I prefer courting versus dating, right? It's almost like, that I know that I don't see a future with you, but because I just want something to do, I just want someone to go to the movies with, I want someone to go out and eat with, and someone to have a good time with. This is why I'm doing that. It sounds pretty messed up again, but this is what happens when you're focused on the boyfriend and girlfriend mindset. You don't have room for longevity. There's no room for growth. How can you grow from that? The next one I have is that complacency will form because they know that they have nothing else to work towards. So one of the cons again of being a boyfriend or a girlfriend is that, you know, once you get that person the way that you want them in the position you want them, you know, you no longer have to work for anything. So now, you know, you guys aren't going out to eat as often. You guys are not going out to the parks. You guys are not finding things to do anymore because they have what they wanted. And it may just be sex. It may just be money. It may just be someone to take advantage of so they don't feel alone. But this is why it's so important that you have to get out of that habit. If you're focused on having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's bound to happen at some point. And because it does happen, it's a huge sign that we need to be careful, you know, because if we're going to have people that come into our lives and they want to have so much access to us, but they're not willing to commit to us. And now, I don't just mean commitment like, oh, well, do you want to be in a relationship with me? I mean like commitment as far as, you know, having talks of engagement, having talks of marriage, having talks about building a future. That's, you know, long term. That sets you up in such a way where you're secure for the future. You know, you don't have to sit back and wonder, oh, well, I'm not sure about where we stand. Like, that's one of the things I used to hate the most when, you know, I used to coach women about, like, their relationship problems. It's like, why are you asking the guy what are the plans for the future? If he hasn't made that clear to you already, he has no plans. Because any guy that has plans for a woman, any guy that has plans for anyone that he's dealing with is going to make it clear from the very beginning. You know, and this is why I think that it's important that we're intentional about our dating. Yeah, about our courting, sorry. Because dating is like so unintentional. You know, we're just doing things happenstance. We're hoping that by doing them that we're eventually going to get, you know, where we want to be. But if you're stuck in that mindset, you're never really going to evolve. And that's why we have to get out of this whole dating stage, because dating is basically just getting to know multiple people at, you know, once, with the hopes of maybe finding someone you can connect with, and then now you're trying to get serious with them. I always hated that because I always felt like it was stupid. Why would I want to waste time getting to know someone on that level if nothing serious is going to come from it? I'm sure other people out there feel the same way too, because it's really stupid. All right. The next point I have is that it can be embarrassing because without any real commitment, it can make you look bad, especially if you're always posting pictures of him or her. So again, like I said earlier, I mean, you guys see it all the time. You know, I'm sure you guys got multiple friends that just get into new relationships and post pictures of them with their boo, and, you know, they're so happy, they're so excited. Then months later, there's no more pictures. They either delete them or they post new pictures, so it's kind of like those old pictures kind of faded away. But that's why, you know what I mean? It's embarrassing. Like, who wants to go through that all the time? Who wants to constantly have to explain to other people, you know what, the reason why I'm not showing off this person anymore is because things didn't work out. You know, we tried to make it work, but it was just so new and we realized we had differences. It's that honeymoon stage. You know, we get so caught up in the beginning because we see it as, oh, well, I really like this person a lot. I really hope that they'll like me too. So you kind of ignore all those red flags, but you cannot do that. If you want something permanent, if you want to change your aspects of, you know, your relationships and your courting and all this other stuff, you just have to be mindful of that. Everything will reveal itself within time, but if you're constantly forcing things and you're rushing things, you're never going to see it. The next point I have is that he is not obligated to provide for you. He can walk away and not be held accountable for anything as your boyfriend. And that's another true point too. I see a lot of women co-signing to get cars or co-signing to get apartments or houses or whatever with boyfriends. What happens when that guy walks away? You know what I mean? What happens when he no longer needs you? I mean, yeah, his credit's tied to it too, but a lot of people don't care about credit. They can easily let that go away, and then once it goes away, what do? It's in your name and it's in his name as well, but you were so busy trying to please him and make him happy that you took a chance on risking your credit for his happiness. How does that help? You know, how does that help? That doesn't benefit you at all, because now if you want to do something for yourself, you're not able to. You're stuck. You know, you're in a space where you're not going to be able to move forward, and you can't explain to a creditor, oh, well, I'm the primary account holder, he's the co-signer, he just stopped paying. Well, you put him on there, and he had no real intentions of keeping that agreement, so he walked away from it, and now you're stuck with it. All right, so I do have some pros and benefits for boyfriends and girlfriends. I wasn't really gonna like not explain them, because, you know, as I was talking to my wife, we were kind of just going over it and how it was important to at least explain some of those, but I'll get into it because it's not that much. So, as a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you can have companionship and someone you can bond with. I know that's important for people nowadays, especially now with what we're going through with the pandemic. It's like you don't really have the chance to have, you know, that much interaction with people as you used to have before. Like a lot of people have said they don't really get to hug people as much. And I get how that can be a problem because if your love language is physical touch, it can lead to depression. It can put you in a space where you feel like you're unable to make that connection or establish that connection. So having a boyfriend or a girlfriend can allow you to have that. And, you know, that can be good for, you know, some reasons. And the next point I have is that if he or she is marriage minded, you have someone you can create a legacy with. I'm always going to stress this legacy aspect of relating because I feel like that's the most important part. Yes, you know, there's so many other things that we can get from getting together with other people, but nothing compares to being able to sit down and create a blueprint as to how you guys are going to come together and create so much generational success for your children. If you have children, for your future children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Like, that's one of the most beautiful things in the world when I think about what marriage does for me. Just knowing that my wife and I can come together and come up with a plan and know that we're going to set up our kids for success. It's just amazing. And that's why I'm on here today to share it with you guys, because as a married man now, I can now speak on what it means to have, you know, the benefits and what it means to have these advantages compared to what I had as a boyfriend or a girlfriend. All right, so now I'm going to get into the husband benefits / wife benefits. I think these are very important too, because I do have a lot more for it. Just as I said with the boyfriend and girlfriend, there's not really much to it. I mean, of course, you know, we get caught up in the moment thinking like, yeah, you know, it's really cool. It's something that I have that I can commit to, but it's not much. I don't look at commitment as you being in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation because, as I said earlier, at any moment you can walk away. And the main reason why a lot of people don't want to have marriage nowadays is because of the accountability. No one wants to be responsible for what other people may hold them accountable for. So if, you know, you're in a marriage or if you're in a situation where you're committed to someone well beyond a boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not going to come in the house at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. You know you have someone to answer to. You're not going to go and spend all the money for the rent because now you know you have someone to answer to. And these are part of the separations that, you know, I'm going to go ahead and get into, which will definitely help to explain it a little bit more. And I hope that it does give you guys a better understanding for those of you guys that needed that explanation, okay? So for the first one, I have health insurance. You will now be able to have the chance to have insurance for any medical / dental reason. That is so huge. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I talk to people and they always struggle with this. Oh, well, you know, my boyfriend doesn't have insurance and he can't, you know, put us on the insurance that he has because he has insurance through the state. Not that that's a bad thing, but again, if you're someone that needs immediate care, you're someone that needs immediate attention, you're not always going to be able to get that. And that leaves you at a deficit, you know? But if you're someone that's married, you now have that opportunity where if your partner has a good premium plan at work with their health care, you know, you don't have to worry about having to worry about, oh, well, how's the baby going to get insurance? How am I going to be able to get what I need? By me having insurance with my job, we got a free breast pump. Like, stuff like that is the advantages that I talk about because now you're able to separate it. You don't have to worry about you being unsure about how so-and-so is going to get taken care of because automatically it's all a part of the plan. All right? So the next one I found is that married couples live longer. So if you love being married, good news. Being married may also help you live longer. Living with the partner lowered the mortality rate for men by 80% and for women by 59%, according to the researchers from Michigan State University and the University of Cincinnati. One of the researchers said that marriage had an even more dramatic effect on longevity than simply living with the partner. There you go again. You see that? When you have someone that you're married to, someone that you know that you can come home to, someone you know that if you're going through a long day, you know that you can find that level of peace within yourself to reach out to that person because you know they're going to secure you in such a way you don't have to worry about being uncertain. That right there is everything. My grandparents have been married for 54 years, and to this very day, they still talk to each other like they're like young teenagers still in love. And that's the most beautiful part about all of it because it shows me that no matter what happens, no matter what the world does to you, you always have that support factor from your significant other. And it's so sweet because with that support, it puts you in such a place where you know you have, something to look forward to. I know whenever I have a long day at work, I always be looking forward to coming home to my wife and talking to her. She probably gets annoyed, but hey, it's something that gives us something that we don't have to ever worry about being uncertain about, because we know that we have that connection within each other, right? Okay, so the next point I have is that when you're married, the benefit will be legal decision-making benefits. You are capable of making life decisions for your significant other without worrying if someone else will make a decision you do not agree with. You can even sue in the event of a wrongful death situation if that happens. So that's another huge one, right? So in that case, if something happens where, let's say your significant other got into a car accident and they're with their family and their family comes into the hospital room and they want to make a decision, now you being that wife or you being that husband, you now have that say. None of them can influence your decision, or none of them can make your decision for you without you making your own choice. Yeah, they can probably suggest some things here and there, but you don't have to listen to it as far as doing what you feel is best. And that even goes from as far as pulling the plug, keeping you on life support, or doing anything that may cause any long-term lasting effects. So I think that that's important, because a lot of times, as we're in these situations where we look at, family thinks that they know what's best for us and they feel like they can provide the best care. Of course, they're our family, so they feel like they should be able to. But it may not always be the best solution. And because of that, that leaves us at a deficit, because now we're stuck. But without you having that husband or that wife, it puts you in such a place where you're unsure. And who wants to live their life like that? I got into a car accident. Me and my mother are not cool. My mother just comes out of nowhere. Oh, just cut the plug or pull the plug. How would you feel? How would you feel knowing that someone that you're not even that close with can make a permanent lifetime decision for you, and now that's it? But at least if you're married, you have a partner that can secure you in such a way where they're removing that doubt. They're removing that insecurity that you may have. Sounds like it gives you a level of peace, doesn't it? All right, so the next point that I have is leave benefits. Because this will be your immediate family, you will have the right to request time off of work just in case something happens to them or goes wrong. That's another huge one. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I hear people at work, oh, my sister's cousin brother died or something. And then they try to take off of work, and then it creates a problem. I mean, of course, that's not your immediate family, so of course it's going to be frowned upon. But when this is your significant other, when this is your husband or your wife, that's automatic, because that's your immediate family. That's your next of kin. If something goes wrong, this is the person that they're going to call to or call on with the hopes that they'll be able to answer those questions. And this is why, if you're someone that has a significant other that has like any type of issues where they have to be hospitalized or something like that, this will now provide them that level of certainty where they can now provide those answers. They can now have those time to separate themselves and go and be with you. It's not always easy to do that as a boyfriend and girlfriend. That's temporary. I can't even imagine being at work saying, oh, well, my girlfriend just got into an accident and I have to leave. I mean, of course I could, but it just, for me personally, it wouldn't feel right saying it, because it wouldn't provide no clarity for my situation. Because if, me and that woman didn't work out, then she would have to just move on with her life. And I would have to do the same, right? Okay, and the next benefit I have is 24/7 companionship. I like to call it a sleepover for life with your best friend without ever having to worry about going home. That's one of the greatest things I think I love about marriage. No matter what happens, I know that I can always go and be with my wife, and I don't have to worry about feeling like, oh, well, maybe her mom is going to come home and tell me that I need to go home, or maybe, family member is going to come and feel awkward that I'm just in the house. No. This is our house together. Like, this is a permanent sleepover. You can do whatever and have as much fun as you want. You can go on trips. You can go on vacations. You can, do anything that comes to mind. And that's the joy of that. When you have that partnership, there's nothing that gets in the way of that. And of course, you could do it with the boyfriend or girlfriend. But at any moment, if that person decides to walk away, what happens then? Is this person going to be bound to an agreement the same way as they would with the husband or wife? Could you take that person to court and sue them the same way as you would a husband or wife? You know what I mean? And these are the things that I'm talking about when I say, this is why it's important, because it's not just you looking at it from an aspect of, well, we've been together for all these years and there's common law. Even common law still has, separation. It's still not the same thing because they're still not going to look at that as far as you being legally bound to this person. And as I said earlier, it's the accountability factor. Just knowing that you're accountable for your actions and you are now responsible, that says it all. All right, so I do have some cons on marriage. Again, I really wasn't going to do this because I didn't really feel the need to kind of go against it that way, but I think it's important. I got to be neutral. I can't speak on the benefits and, the cons on one side, but not speak on the cons on the next side. So I got to, go through it. So for the cons for marriage, I will say that if someone grows apart from the marriage because of their inability to include their partner, it can cause an issue. I'm in like a lot of marriage groups, and a lot of guys do talk about how sometimes they have grown apart from their wives. Their wives are doing like something completely separate from them, and it kind of makes them feel alone, like they don't feel connected to her as much. So, that can be a con because if you guys are not consistently growing, either separately and coming together as one or together, joint, it can be an issue because it can, make you feel alone. You don't no longer feel connected to that person, and you're constantly trying to find yourself through them. But if they're turning into a different person, automatically in your mind, you're feeling like you're alone, So I think that can be a negative, but at the same time, I feel like there's ways to work through it. You just have to be willing to meet your partner where they are. And by meeting them where they are, it gives you the chance to maybe create a new aspect of the relationship. I feel like after, years being in a relationship anyway, you have to find new ways of making a connection, establishing a connection with each other. If you don't do that and you constantly do things the same, it's going to get boring and it's going to become like redundant. Like you're going to be doing the same things and you're going to hope that you're getting different results, but it's not always going to work. So I think that that's important to, make sure that we focus on that. Another con is that if you're dealing with someone immature, it can lead to you feeling, alone again. I think that that's important too because sometimes, there's a lot of situations where you have either married women wanting to go be with their friends all the time and they're never really spending time with the family, or you have married men always wanting to spend time with the guys and, the woman is just left by herself with the kids. I feel like that can be a problem because if you're not mature enough to know that, your family needs time with you just as much as your friends do, or your family needs more time with you than they do, how's that beneficial to your family? You're married to your wife or to your husband, but you're giving your time elsewhere. To me, that can create an imbalance because now you're saying that, okay, on paper, this is the most important thing I have in my life. But in reality, you're going against it by taking away from those people that should require that time. So I think that, if you're not dealing with someone that's mature, it's going to be something that's going to make you consistently feel like you're left alone. And no one wants to feel like that. Like one of the worst feelings in the world is being in a relationship but still feeling like you're alone. I'm not saying your relationship has to give you everything you desire, but at the same time, it should pretty much fill you up in such a way where you don't have to worry about certain things. And that's one of them. The next one I have is financial abuse. It can happen if your spouse decides to withhold money. I think that's a big thing too because, a lot of times we have situations where women stay at home and they're depending on their husbands to provide, but their husbands purposely withhold money from them so they don't have access to money. I think that's selfish. I really hate when I hear that stuff because I feel like it's messed up that as a man, you're preventing a woman from being able to make amends to, get what she needs for herself. Yeah, I guess it's cool if you're able to give it to her, but even still, she shouldn't have to depend on you for that. Because if she needs to have money for herself or she needs to have money for the kids, if you're purposely withholding it, that's not benefiting them. That's leaving them in such a space where it's impossible for them to move forward, with anything they need. And sometimes if a woman's staying at home, there may be situations that arise where she may not always be able to depend on you for it. She may just need it right away. And what happens? She has to wait for you to come home. She has to wait for you to accept her long, drawn-out explanation as to why she needed the money. That's not right. No one should ever have to feel like they're enslaved that way. So I think that can be a con if it's not properly discussed or properly, handled, because a lot of people will wait until when it gets down to that moment. But then when it's at that moment, you're stuck. You've been married for all these years and now you're, struggling trying to figure out how do you move forward from that place. That's not always good. And the next one I have for one of the cons of marriages is dealing with annoying family in-laws. I think that can be a con because if you're dealing with people that create difficult situations for you, it can be a little bit difficult because now, you're trying to find peace with your partner, but now you're constantly having to battle other people hoping that they're going to make things easier for you, but they're not always going to do that. It may stem from jealousy. It may stem from them not wanting to see you guys together because there's something that they don't like about you. Even though they're not the ones that you have to deal with on a day-to-day, some people still take it upon themselves to make it, a personal issue. So I think that that can be a bit much, especially if you're not someone that's strong-willed that can handle that type of stuff. And the next one I have is having to deal. Oh no, I said that one already. So the divorce rate is high. That can be a con because a lot of people, especially like men that I talk to, you guys probably notice it on my page a lot, where they always complain and say, "Oh, it's so difficult. What's the point of getting married now if I can, buy the cow without getting the milk? Get the milk without buying the cow." And it just makes it so hard to accept it because I can do everything I want without being married. So what's really the benefit in that? If I get married, all it's going to do is just get a divorce and I'm going to lose all my money, blah, blah, blah. Half the times, these guys don't even have half the money that these celebrities have. But they've created that mindset in their heads where they have accepted it like it's entirely difficult. So this is the result. So that can be a con because if you're constantly thinking that something's hard, you're constantly putting out negative energy in terms of it, it's making it impossible for you to see the positive in it. So it's making it just where it's not worth it for you. So that's what I have for the cons. I do have the next part that I want to get into, but I will wait to see if anyone has any questions. So do you guys have any questions or anything that you want me to discuss in regards to the topic, anything that wasn't clear or anything you need more clarification on? I can definitely explain that for you guys now before I go into the next part. And the next part will be why I prefer courting over dating, just in case. Again, like I said earlier, I think the courting part is phenomenal. Once you know the difference between the two, it helps set you up for success because you're no longer, unsure of what you're doing. Now you have a clear, concise direction. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Maybe you guys are typing up some questions. Let's see. I think I saw some questions earlier. Let me see. I saw Raziki L said, "This is why I don't share people I date or new relationships in social media." It's true. I was like that for years, man. When I tell you that's why it's important to be low-key with that stuff, you never know who's out there trying to either set you up or trying to find a way to break you guys up because of that jealousy factor. And I mean, yeah, I said it earlier where we kind of get too caught up sharing them right away, but it's not always healthy, Keep that peace within yourself. Wow, that's funny. It brings up so many memories too, because I remember I seen so many friends, they would get with new guys or get with new girls and just post. They'll post like consistently. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, how do you know that this is going to work? You're hoping that it's going to be able to play out the way that you want, but sometimes it doesn't always. And that's why you got to be careful. All right, so we got another comment. Okay, so we have Fashion that says, explain my definitions of courting and dating. Okay, so my definitions of courting and dating is that courting is more so, intentional. So courting is setting your desires, setting your dreams, you're outright. Like, you're putting it out there. Like, if I'm going on a date with a woman, I'm letting her know, well, I'm intending to get married. My purpose for being with you is for marriage. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to waste time. I'm not here to see how this is going to work or see where this is going to go. I know exactly what I want, and I'm clear. I'm direct. The difference with that as it relates to dating is just that dating is the opposite. So dating is more so you're wanting to find, if this person's compatible with you. You're wanting to see if this person is someone that you can connect with on a deeper level. You're wanting to spend, I guess, multiple dates just going out to try to get to know this person on a different level. You may even spend time on the phone because I know nowadays that's what dating seems to be about. We're talking on the phone, we're texting, we're having conversations, trying to figure out who we are and what we can provide for each other. And I think that's important too because a lot of us confuse the two because we're thinking when we're dating someone, we're actually courting them for marriage, but that's not the case. It took me going through a lot of hardships in relationships at first, or I guess the getting to know stages of someone at first to understand the differences because I kept thinking If I'm getting to know someone, isn't that courting? Isn't that me getting to get serious with them on that level, hoping that it's gonna blossom into something in the future? But it's not. And that's why I failed, because I wasn't even going about it the right way. I was looking at it as, well, this is just someone that, I'm hoping that I can get there with, and I'm hoping that it can work, but that's not how it works. When you're courting, when you're making it known from the very beginning that this is what you want, it helps create a boundary. It's like a layer. I know that I want to get married, so I'm not going to deal with someone that doesn't want to get married. I know that I want to have children, so I'm not going to deal with someone that doesn't want to have children. It's stupid, because it's like you're hoping that by you wanting what you want and they want what they want, you're going to change their mind. You should never go into those situations hoping to change anyone's mind, because it's not going to work. It's impossible to change someone's mind when they already have their mind set and you have yours as well. It's not fair to you. Essentially, you're just wasting your own time. So I hope that clears that up, the differences between the dating and the courting, because I think that it's something that we all need to revisit or have to, have re-explained, because it's not ever discussed, but everyone thinks because we're dating, we're courting. No, it's not always like that. And Fashion says, shouldn't you discuss what you want in the dating stage? You should, but not everyone does. Some people just say they want to go with the flow. And I feel like that's the cop-out. I don't know if it's just this generation or it's just people's way of just trying to see how much they can manipulate to get whatever it is they want. Whether it's sex, whether it's money, whether it's attention, whether it's validation. I think that you should be clear. You should always be clear. But if someone's telling you, oh, well, I just want to see where it goes, or I just want to see what comes up, that's not always healthy. And that can create a problem, It's making it so impossible to take anyone serious nowadays when that's what they're telling you, because they're not even sure about what they're doing. That basically means at any given moment, if they decide to walk away, you just got to accept it. Imagine you being someone that gets your feeling invested in someone, and you're, excited, you're hoping to spend time and connect with them on a deeper level, and then now you can't, because all of your time is spent trying to get to know someone that doesn't really want to get to know you. Yeah, that's crazy. Very crazy. Alright, so I'm going to go into the why I prefer the courting over the dating. It's kind of just what Fashion and I were just discussing. But basically, I prefer courting over dating because it's always intentional. It's always clear. You never ever have to second guess what someone is saying, because they're always going to make it out there for you. You'll always know. It's never going to be something where it's like, oh, well, I wasn't sure if you saw a future with me. No, they'll make it clear from the very beginning. Yes, I see a future with you. Yes, I want to be with you. Yes, I want to get married. Hopefully we can get to that place. It may not be right away, but it may be that this is what we're working towards. And that's why, that's important, right? All right. It also provides purpose when you can have a solid, detail-oriented transition. So that's important, because when you know exactly what you're doing, you're not going to do anything that's going to steer you away from what it is you don't want. Like I said earlier, if you know you want to get married, why would you talk to someone that doesn't want to get married? That's stupid, because that's basically telling you that this person's not on my level. They're here playing games, and they're here hoping that, by me wanting marriage and them not wanting marriage, we can just have fun, or we can just have a good time until the time is up. No, it doesn't work like that. That's why when you're courting, you know exactly what it is what you want. You're clear. Nothing can get in the way of that. No matter how much fun this person is, you know that they're not meant for you, and you know that they're not looking to evolve on the level that you want to. So it's clear not to waste your time. All right. I would say also is that courting usually ends in marriage, because it's clear what your end goal is, and it's not one that requires you getting to know someone or multiple people, right? So if you found someone that you know that you can connect with on that deeper level, you're not always going to look for someone else that maybe can have that, because if you have a short thing, you have something that's certain already, why would you go against that to find something else that's not? Clearly, that's you putting yourself in, harm's way. You're putting yourself in danger. You can't go from knowing something is a short thing to now going with something unsure, because it's not clear. It's a confusion. It's chaos. It's going to lead to destruction. That's why you got to be careful. If you're someone that's serious about this stuff, it really puts you in this place where you have to focus on exactly what it is you want. It requires a lot of discipline, because a lot of people will pretend and a lot of people will play games, but they only do that stuff when they feel like it's acceptable, when they feel like they can get away with it. So one moment, we have another question from Fashion. So she says, I don't know why people don't talk about what they want in the beginning stage. You never know what people are looking for till you have that conversation. And if you're not looking for the same things, at least you know what it is. That's true. And I agree. I mean, but also, like I said, I've been in a lot of situations where people will literally just play those type of games, and they'll just hope that they can just use you up. And I mean, if you're someone, like I mentioned earlier, that is longing for a connection, you almost get desperate. You almost feel as though you have to have this relationship, because if you don't have it, you're not going to get nothing else. And that can be a topic that I can discuss on another live too, because I think that's important. It's called like having a scarcity mindset. You feel like by having this one person or by having this one thing, there's so much of a lack of it that you're not going to be able to find it elsewhere. So you stick it out. You hope that by continuously being there with that person is going to give you some type of level of completion, when in reality it's not. So you're forcing yourself to tolerate disrespect, abuse, neglect, anything, because you're hoping that by me having this person, I'll never have to look again for someone else. And that can also explain why a lot of people stay in long-term relationships, so they say, and they don't really have, peace. They're not comfortable, they're not happy, they're miserable as hell, but they're not leaving because they feel like they have everything. And if they had everything, they'll be happy. And if they had everything, they wouldn't have to worry about, well, is this person going to give me everything it is that I want? So I think that's a good point. That's a really good conversation. And I'll definitely look into that, for doing that for another live, because that is a topic that I love to talk about a lot. I feel like we have to discuss that more often. Also, too, as one of the reasons why I prefer courting over marriage is that it's no longer an individual approach. It's a group collective. You guys are now thinking as a unit. I love that aspect of being married. For me, I feel like that's important too, because I no longer have to feel like I'm making a decision alone. And whenever I feel like I'm making a decision alone, I always revert back to like, damn, I'm married now. I got to talk to my wife about it. I just can't make these decisions by myself. Sometimes I have to catch myself, and I always find myself feeling bad, because it's like, dang, like, did I talk to Lisa about it? Did I get confirmation? Did I find out if it was okay? And if I didn't, I'll apologize. Lisa, I didn't have this conversation with you, and this is what, I would like to happen, or this is what I would hope that we can accomplish together. And that helps give me, a level of peace, because now I'm providing her with reassurance that everything will work out, and I'm making things happen the way that they should. So I think that's a very, necessary conversation as it relates to that. And as I said earlier too, about courting versus dating, courting promotes accountability, because now you have to learn how to be responsible for your actions. You can no longer think for yourself. You must think for both parties, because the wrong you do will not just affect you, but it will also affect them. So as I said earlier about spending the money, right? So let's say, as you are courting someone, you guys are getting ready to get engaged or getting ready to get married, whatever the case is. If you guys are living together, now that you have access to each other's funds, if you do, or if you guys have joint bills or whatever the case is, if you spend all of your money gambling, all of your money smoking weed, all of your money drinking, how is that going to benefit the union that you guys are potentially going to create together? This is why I was saying earlier, is that it creates such a moment of accountability, because now you have to answer for that. As a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you could easily walk away from that, and you'll never ever have to feel bad about it again, because it won't matter. If you move to a different state, who's going to check you? If you moved on with your life and decided to get a new boyfriend or a girlfriend, what can happen? Nothing. But if you're married, you're obligated to that person. You have to now speak as to why you thought this was okay. And I mean, I don't want to look at it like I guess like a mother and child or a father and child situation, but it technically can be. You're going to sit there in that little room or in that little area and now have to answer to this person. And who wants to deal with that guilt on their heart? Like, I spent all the rent money. Like, I don't know what I was doing. I was just having so much fun with my boys. I just ignored the fact that we had to pay this bill. Like, that's reckless. That's immature. That's, irresponsible. So that's why I think that it's important that we have to be clear on what we're doing when we say we're dating. Because when we're dating, we're not really focused on how we can benefit the union. We're more so just trying to have fun. We're caught up in the moment. But when we're courting, we're focused on getting where we need to be long term. You're creating a lifelong goal with this person, and you're setting it aside that this is what I want to accomplish and this is what I want to do. So that's why I think it's important that you make sure that you understand the differences, because without understanding it, it's going to be a world of problems. So I think I'm done, but I'll leave it open for a little bit in case anyone has any questions. Tonight's topic again was about the differences between marriage, relationships, and dating. Kind of like the pros and the cons. And then I just explained the differences between courting and dating for me. So if you guys have any questions or any concerns regarding tonight's topic, please share them, and I will answer them while we're here. If not, I will end the live, and I'll work on the next one very soon. I'm working to do these more often because, like I told you guys, I'm trying to expand my platform. You know, I used to do these lives a lot. Fashion was one of the people that were on there pretty frequently too, but I stopped for a good while. But I'm back. You know, now that the baby's born, I have more time and I have more, you know, ability to focus on trying to get these things together. So I think that that's, you know, big. So if you guys have any topics or any things you would like for me to discuss, we can definitely get that going. You guys can inbox me, right on my wall, right on my page, whatever the case is. But I'm down to have these conversations with you guys because I think it's important, especially from a male's point of view. I mean, at least you're able to have an understanding, a clear understanding of how the game works as far as life and, you know, the different aspects. Yeah, because I already have my topic for, I think I'm going to do the next one on Monday. So I'm definitely going to get that going. And I'm going to leave it up, so you'll definitely be able to see it. No worries. This will definitely stay up. I don't delete them. They always stay up there, so you can always go back and re-listen or revisit. And I'm going to put them on my YouTube channel as well, too. Definitely. So I'll leave it up like at least a minute or two, just in case if anyone has any other questions. Lisa's afraid to do lives, man. I've been trying to tell her to do a live since the very first moment I started to do them. She's scared. She's camera shy. So one day I guess I'll get her to feel comfortable enough, but she's really shy. I think that would be a really good idea because for the longest I was telling her that this would be good. You know, she had this experience with me too. Like we both shared this experience. And I remember, you know, all about it, Fashion, because you was there when I did the very first live talking about wanting to get married and wanting to have this, you know, legacy. And here we are, right? Yesterday's or Friday's live was kind of talking about that too. So definitely. You say you're camera shy? Oh, wow. It's not even that bad, y'all. It's really good. I mean, the thing is, you just gotta be confident and just let it flow. And even if you don't want to do a live where you show your face, you can just do an audio. So that's another helpful tip as well. So thank you, Raven. I see that you said you don't have any questions, but you just want to thank me for sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I'll keep it open for a little bit longer just in case if anyone has any other questions or concerns, because I definitely love to answer the questions. I think that's the coolest part about it, because I get to hear from you guys and I get to, you know, get the feedback. That's pretty cool. So you guys are a part of it as well. It's not just me doing it all by myself. One day too, I'm gonna have the baby on the live with me. Right now, she's not really like focused, I guess you could say, as far as like looking at the camera. Her eyes be like wandering everywhere and stuff, but that'll be kind of cool to have her in the live and have her be a part of this. Yeah. Okay, I guess we're done. All right. You guys have a good night. And you guys take care. I will put up the new description for the live, probably either tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I will have one on Monday as well. And I do have a really good topic, which I think you guys will love. So, oh, we have a question. Go ahead, Priscilla. Okay, so Priscilla says, How long is too long when it comes to courting? When it becomes counterproductive? For too long, I would say probably like 6 months to a year. I feel like it's kind of pointless to go for that long because when you're courting, like I said earlier, it's like you know exactly what you want. Like one of the biggest things I've learned, especially as far as the courting aspect goes, is that if you guys have a clear understanding of what it is you're looking for and what it is you desire, what are you waiting for? Like, are you waiting to see if this is really going to work, or if you're waiting to see if this is really going to be what you expect it to be? Like, that's stupid. One of the things my grandfather told me told me like a while back, especially while I was courting Lisa, is that you have to hit the iron while the iron's hot. If you have that momentum now and that momentum is going good for you, keep it going. And like, you don't want to wait, because I feel like when you wait, it can almost present a setback. And by the setback, it can make you feel as if this really isn't what you're supposed to get. So the more you continuously work towards it and the more you continuously build on it, you're setting yourself up to succeed. And I think that that's important, because a lot of people wait. It's the same reason why I hate these long-term engagements where people would get engaged for 3-4 years and then finally they'll plan a wedding. What the hell are you waiting for? For someone to cheat? For someone to break up and decide that they don't want to be with each other anymore? It's stupid. But if you know that you're clear and you know that this is exactly what it is both of you want, like, it has to be mutual. It just can't be one person wanting it, because when it's one-sided, it can present a problem. But if you guys are clear, then it's like you have all room to grow. So why wouldn't you take that opportunity? You know? I think that that's important. So you said when it becomes counterproductive, as far as like it being too long, I can kind of see that too. Because it is almost a moment of being counterproductive. Because again, the more you wait, the more you're basically telling the universe that I'm not sure. I'm uncertain if this is going to work, so I want to see if it's going to be able to benefit me the way that I want it to. That's a problem. And if you're going to consistently live it that way, then I don't think that you should be together with someone, because you're basically not, ready to move forward. Whenever you're ready to move forward, you move forward, period. This is why they always say, when a man's ready, you'll know. Because a man is not going to keep you waiting 10 months. He's not going to keep you waiting 15 years. He's not going to keep you waiting forever. He's going to take it as far as you can go. And that's why I think it's important, because when a man knows exactly what he wants, he's going to give you everything to set you up for success. It's all about security. And this is why it's all about, what they say, feeling secure and making sure you feel, comfortable within your situation. Because that's what it does for you. It gives you a moment of completion where you no longer have to question or, set up any doubt in your mind what's going on. All right, so it looks like we have more comments. And Almira says, our little man has grown up. Hey. Hey, thank you. Yeah, this is my, relationship coaching session, I guess you could say. I talk about different relationship aspects and things that we should discuss as we move forward in life. Because I feel like we don't have these conversations. I don't know if you remember as a kid, or if you remember as a young adult growing up. For me, I didn't really have these conversations. I kind of had to discover them. Watching my grandparents, married for all those years, it kind of just helped me to realize and see how relationships should work. And I think that that was important. And I always wanted to make sure that I was able to share it with other people, because I wanted other people to gain the same understanding that I had. So I definitely appreciate that. And it's funny because you say wisdom is talking. And that's definitely wisdom, coming from someone that's been able to see it for all my life, pretty much. Because I always talk about my grandparents and how fortunate I am that they're still alive even in my adult years. I'm blessed based on that very reason. All right, so let's get into this other comment. So Priscilla says, last guy I was seeing, I stopped seeing him at 6 months. I felt like time was wasting for sure. And if he didn't want to be serious during that time, he wasn't going to want it afterwards either. It's true. It doesn't take a man a very long time to know what he wants. I mean, if a man is serious and he's sure about himself, as far as he doesn't have any insecurities, oh, well, how am I going to provide for this woman? If children come, how are we going to be able to take care of the children? There's nothing to worry about. Like, it's one of the reasons why I feel like, if you're with a man for X amount of years and the man is not getting, either having those talks of marriage, taking you to a jeweler to get size for a ring, it's not serious, period. You know, when a guy is serious, everything he does is going to set you up to succeed. He's not going to sit there and waste your time. You don't have time for that. He knows that it's unsure or it's unlikely that he'll find something or someone that's going to provide him what you could provide him. So he's not going to take a chance, the hope of losing it. And that's why I think it's important, because when someone is serious, they know everything that they're going to do is going to make sure that they let that person know that they're serious, because they know how hard it is. There's so many people I talk to out here that say they haven't been on dates for years. They haven't been able to spend time with the opposite sex for years. You really think that someone that's serious is going to sit here and play? For what? They're not going to sit there themselves up with the hopes of being able to let things go and then now have to recover from it. It's just like you see people have been married for 25 years. Like, why would you take a chance to risk losing your marriage with the hopes that you can find someone else? It's impossible. Like, if you're really hoping for that, good luck, bro. Like, you're stuck and you're never going to find it. It sucks because, some people think the grass is really greener on the other side, but it doesn't always work like that. And I mean, you got to be one big idiot to risk losing the world for the hopes of trying to have something temporary just to make up for that. It doesn't work like that. And Priscilla says, gotta grab on tight. It's extremely hard if you're looking for a life partner. People who want options will keep dragging their feet. It's true. That's why I made that post the other day asking, like, what are the benefits of being a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Like, why does society glorify boyfriend and girlfriends versus husband and wife? But that's why. Boyfriend and girlfriends know that they have options. They know that they can do whatever they want. They don't got to worry about any bills coming up. They don't got to worry about anything, being tied to them, because they can easily just walk away from it. But it's different when you're in a situation when you guys have a space together. You know what I mean? You're married. You think you're about to be coming in your house talking to the opposite sex, flirting and having all this sexual conversation with your husband or your wife there? Nah, it's not going to work like that. So you got to be more mindful of the things you do, because when you're not mindful, it's going to put you in such a space where it's going to create a problem. And nobody wants to deal with that, having to answer, oh, why are you talking to this girl about what you going to do to her when your wife's not around or when your husband's not around? Like, who wants to deal with that? That's childish. But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you grow up, especially when you're mentally grown up, you put yourself in such a position where you know that everything I do is going to lead me to success. And if me having a wife or if me having a husband is going to allow me to succeed, especially for the livelihood of my children, I'm going to do it, because I know that everything that I do is going to be based on them. And that's one of the biggest things that I used to talk about on my previous lives, is that when we date, we have to date for our kids as well. We just can't date for ourselves. It's not just, oh, well, this person makes me feel good and this person does a lot for me. But what about your kids? How are you dating people that don't even like your children? Like, how does that make sense? Like, you're with someone, but you're willing to ignore the fact that your child has needs, and this person won't even come close to meeting your child's needs? When it's time for you guys to be together, they're making your child feel bad. They're pushing your child away and making them, want to go off to themselves. How does that work? And this is someone that you want to marry? No. But when you're dating for your children, or when you're courting for your children, you know that you're going to find someone that's going to give them a moment of peace as well. So if they make you happy, they should be able to make your children happy. They should be able to have conversations with your children, because they're parents as well. If someone is a parent too, they're not going to want to put themselves in a position that's going to make it, go. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And Priscilla says again, they will have to go. Sorry, nope, don't even meet my child with that attitude. It's the truth. Why would you want to? And I get it. I think it's the desperation on a lot of us. Like, we feel like if we don't take this chance now, we'll never be able to find something. But your child is the most important part of you. Why would you want to take a chance with the hope that you'll make your child miserable just because you want to be with so-and-so? That's why so many kids get molested, right? They told the parents about it. The parents, oh, well, your stepdad will never do that. They're blinded by that stepfather or stepmother that they can't even see how much hurt their child is experiencing because they're so caught up. That doesn't even make sense. Especially for your child to be a part of you. You're basically telling a part of yourself that you don't care about what's happening to them because it's not important. That doesn't make sense. And that's why I always say we have to date for our children, because once we date for our children, we put them in such a position that's going to set them up to never have to worry about anything. Okay, things didn't work out with their parents, but that doesn't mean that the next person that comes in their life has to do the same way, or has to take advantage of them, or have to make them feel bad. No, no. And Priscilla says again, that's so scary. The way I love my baby, no way I'd want someone around them that negative. It's true. It's true. I mean, our kids are always going to be a reflection of us. And as they are a reflection of us, it puts us in such a space where we have to be protective and mindful of how well, we put them in positions that can bring them harm. Because these are little human beings and we don't want to make them feel bad. Eventually they'll grow up and they'll, get into the moment where it's going to become difficult for them to overcome that. Why? Because we decided to ignore their needs and place other people's needs above theirs. So definitely, because I don't want to get too much into that topic, because that's kind of like what my next topic is going to be on Monday. So like I said earlier, I will put out the notification for it so you guys can kind of see it and kind of get ready for it too. And I definitely love these questions, so keep these questions coming for the next one that I do, because I feel like the questions are the best part for me. Like, I know that I love to talk and it's always cool to hear me speak on it, but sometimes it's even better if you can hear the questions, just in case if someone else is going through them, and you can help give them some type of wisdom or some type of understanding that they don't currently have. So I thank you guys for tonight. Again, this was another special live. I'm happy that we had so much interaction. Everyone was a part of it. Everyone was conversing with each other. That was really sweet. I love that. So definitely until next time. And I'm going to try to do them the same time every 2 days. So I'll do the next one on Monday at 9. I may even do it earlier, because I know that sometimes it's harder during the week to stay on as much, but just thought I would definitely keep you guys posted so that you guys can be a part of the next one. All right, you guys have a good night. Take care. All right, that's cool. Send me the topic. I'm down. All right, peace.